Chapter 2. From MTV to TikTok. Evolution of Artist Image. The modern artist doesn't have visuals as an accessory to the music. The artist is a visual system, built to survive compression. Compression is the constant across every era of music media. Each distribution format squeezes the artist into a smaller container: a TV slot, a search result, a square grid, a vertical loop. What survives becomes identity. What doesn't survives as trivia. This chapter traces the key platform phases: MTV video era, blog era, Instagram era, TikTok short-form era, and shows how each distribution format rewrote the requirements of image, from narrative world-building to search readability, then aesthetic continuity, then memeable, repeatable hooks. The core mechanism: platforms as identity compressors. Platforms don't just distribute culture, they set the minimum viable identity an artist must deliver to be recognized. Every platform imposes constraints that quietly define what good image means. Dominant frame, 16:9, TV YouTube, square, Instagram grid, vertical, TikTok Reels, default duration, minutes, seconds, or fractions of a second. Discovery logic, broadcast repetition, search intent, algorithmic feed ranking, social behavior, passive watching versus commenting versus remixing and reenacting. Creative surface, a single video, a thumbnail, a grid, a loop, a meme template. Two practical concepts explain the evolution. Identity resolution. How much complexity survives when the artist is reduced to the platform's most common unit? MTV, the full music video, high resolution, plot, wardrobe arcs, choreography, set design. YouTube, thumbnail plus title click plus watch time. Medium, one still must sell the world. Instagram, grid coherence plus story continuity. Medium, a style Bible expressed daily. TikTok, the first second of a vertical loop. Low, identity must be legible instantly. As resolution drops, the system must rely on bolder, more portable signals: silhouette, palette, hair shape, a signature accessory, a facial mask, a movement motif, and a simple persona that can be described in one sentence. Visual recall latency, the time it takes to recognize the artist from partial signal, an outline, palette, prop, camera language, or gesture. Modern feeds reward near zero latency. That changes design priorities. A beautiful look that requires context loses to a clear look that reads in a blur while scrolling. A useful way to think about this: in high-resolution eras, identity can be explained. In low-resolution eras, identity must be recognized. A concise timeline: MTV, blog, Instagram, TikTok. MTV video era, approximately 1981 to 2007. Primary unit, music video, plus TV performances, magazine covers. Discovery, broadcast repetition and programmed gatekeeping. Narrative world building and big moments, MTV gave artists time. A video could introduce a character, establish a setting, shift wardrobes, and end with a memorable tableau. Because distribution was limited, repetition did the work. The same video played again and again, teaching viewers an artist's face, movement, and symbols. This era rewarded myth and storyline, identity as a cinematic universe, not a daily feed. High contrast archetypes: the rebel, the diva, the romantic, the futurist, readable on television from across a room. Performance clarity, choreography and staging that communicated persona without close-up intimacy. Scarcity-driven reinvention, fewer touchpoints meant each era could be larger and more distinct. Design implication, you could build complexity over time because audiences stayed for the full piece. The logo of the artist could be a full narrative language: sets, recurring characters, dramatic lighting, not just a single signature item. Blog era plus early YouTube, approximately 2007 to 2013. Primary unit, MP3 embed, press image, live clip, lo-fi upload. Discovery, tastemakers, links, forums, repost chains, and search. Identity requirement, credibility signals, and subculture codes. The blog era broke the monopoly of broadcast and introduced a different kind of gatekeeping: scene legitimacy. Image shifted from spectacle to belonging. Instead of asking, "Can you carry a cinematic world?" the culture asked, "Are you real in this scene?" Low production value wasn't automatically a disadvantage, it could function as proof. A shaky live clip or DIY visual could signal intimacy, access, and authenticity. This era rewarded contextual signifiers: which photographer shot you, which venues you played, what visual references placed you inside a microgenre. Press photo efficiency. One still image had to communicate genre, attitude, and taste fast. Search readability. Artist name plus distinct look mattered, as fans typed, searched, and linked. Comment culture. Identity was increasingly co-authored by discourse, descriptions, comparisons, and fan language. Design implication. You needed a read that worked as a small file on a blog page and as a mental shortcut in a sentence. Identity became partly linguistic, a describable persona, mysterious, hard, angelic, weird, reinforced by styling choices. Instagram era, approximate 2013 to 2019. Primary unit, grid post plus story with increasing emphasis on behind the scenes. Discovery, follow graph plus algorithmic feed ranking. Identity requirement, a coherent aesthetic system with continuity. Instagram turned the artist into a daily brand surface. Instead of a few high-impact releases, the audience encountered the artist constantly. Outfits, studio moments, travel, friends, campaigns, stage shots. The question shifted again. Not, can you make a moment, but, can you sustain a world? The grid format introduced an unusually strict design demand. Adjacency. Posts sit next to each other, so inconsistency becomes visible. The platform effectively forced many artists into an implicit style guide. This era rewarded palette discipline, recognizable color temperature, lighting style, and tonal consistency. Silhouette consistency, repeatable proportions, oversized, tailored, athletic, hyperfeminine, etc. that read instantly. Camera language, recurring angles, framing, and facial presentation, soft versus confrontational, distant versus intimate. Lifestyle evidence, believable artifacts that support the persona, what the artist wears off stage, what spaces they inhabit, what brands they touch. The era cadence accelerated here. Artists refreshed visuals more often than in the MTV era, but the changes had to remain coherent enough to keep the grid from collapsing into randomness. Design implication. The artist's identity starts to behave like a modular design system. Consistent components, hair shape, accessories, fonts, poses, rearranged in new combinations. TikTok short-form era, approximate 2019 to present. Primary unit, vertical loop. The first second is decisive. Discovery. Recommendation engine, for you, plus social proof, plus remix culture. Identity requirement, repeatable visual hooks and templates for co-creation. TikTok compresses identity the hardest. The artist is often encountered with zero context, mid-scroll, in a fraction of a second. The platform is not primarily a gallery or a theater. It's a loop machine. Your visuals must withstand repetition, cropping, duets, edits, and re-uploads. This era rewards identity that can be reperformed by others. The artist's image becomes a toolkit, simple enough to copy, specific enough to remain theirs. This era favors one anchoring motif, a single accessory, mask, makeup code, hair silhouette, or styling rule that functions like a stamp. Movement as branding, a gesture, posture, microexpression, dance fragment, or camera behavior that becomes recognizable. Memeability, visuals that can be captioned, parodied, reenacted, and still point back to the artist. Instant premise, identity that can be understood in one line, the character, the contrast, the attitude. Design implication, instead of designing a perfect image, artists increasingly design a repeatable template. The goal is not just recognition, it's multiplication, fans and creators expanding the identity through thousands of iterations without breaking its core signals. What actually changed after 2015? The operating checklist. After 2015, the major shift is not that visuals became important. They always were. The shift is that distribution moved upstream of meaning. You are seen before you are understood. Use this checklist as a practical summary of new requirements. First, discovery became feed first. Audiences encounter you out of context, often without intent. Your identity must work as an interruption. Second, the thumbnail became a stage. A tiny image must carry silhouette, face strategy, and vibe, because it may be the only thing people see before deciding. Third, the first second outweighs the full story. Hook logic dominates. Clarity beats nuance at the entry point, even if nuance appears later. Fourth, identity must be a system, not a look. One great outfit is fragile. A rule set, silhouette plus palette plus persona plus movement, scales. Fifth, fans co-author meaning at scale. Edits, memes, duets, and commentary create the public character. Stable motifs, help you control the direction of that co-authorship. Sixth, era cadence accelerated. Visual refresh cycles shortened, but continuity expectations increased. You have to evolve without erasing recognition. Seventh, movement became branding. Gesture and camera behavior now function like logos, especially in short-form performance and candid clips. Eighth, authenticity became engineered. Candid is now a visual style with consistent rules. The most successful artists design authenticity as carefully as they design stage spectacle. MTV built stars through cinematic stories. TikTok builds stars through repeatable templates. The job of visual identity is now less make an iconic image and more design a language, a compact set of rules that survives compression across thumbnails, loops, edits, and stage.